This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Good morning, True Seekers and True Crime Junkies. Welcome back to another episode of Hit the Road, Jack, Finding the Zodiac. I'd like to welcome to the show this morning, Harriette Sucher.
Hey, it's going to be a great show. Let's do this.
Always. And it looks like we have Nolan Del Campo with us here today, too.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Nanette and Harriet.
Good morning.
Good morning, Nolan.
I was going to say you look dapper. You must be going to court.
Yeah, I have 2 cases in the same department.
What's that?
2 cases in the same department. Criminal.
Oh, easy peasy.
Yeah, I got
it. You got it. All right.
Judge
well, we're making. What's that?
The judge is my friend.
We never want to hear those words, Nolan. Because isn't that what everybody attests to? That attorney must be friends with the judge. That's why they cited for them.
Well, he's a former DA, so he's not all good.
Well, we left off last week with some of Harriet's solves, and I found the overall solve, which is the letter and envelope from the March 8th, 1981 letter. Do you want me to read that, Harriet, or do you have that to read? It's the one that you wrote, the proud voice for the dead, underneath it.
You're going to have to read it because I got something else on the phone.
Not a problem.
Go for that one, though. Yeah.
So it says facsimile 3881 at 6:11:11 military time, 209 and 1 Woodland Drive, Plains, Georgia. Mr. Carter, you actually did answer question, and I have the Holy See Archbishop Terence Cook of New York, Twin Towers, attention. Even UC Davis have saved Oculus Uteric sick, ill me from grave. Me, who used to be of the Zodiac fame, I'm fine, off MK Ultra, still okay. To tell the truth, Liberty Bell, Americana Series, half value layer, radiation exposure saliva, your saliva on image, that stamp, do future execute order, well, question mark, Danto, Franklin Club Retirement Community, 88, Heil Hitler, Chef, Chris Bush. We 3 made a deal. Switch classified Trenton State Hospital witness protection program, dead Vietnam War, U.S. Navy pilot, 1971, Daniel Cooper, there under white female adult, last name Broad. The ID, I shot the Dan Cooper body in the head under sheet at Bush Place on 11/19/78, i.e. Chris Bush, Nut House Broad ID, and Kathy King, Mary. The 2 are still alive, not dead, as your original execute order was intended. To tell the truth, it looks like 14F13. Do I have that right, Harriet?
Yeah, that's the Nazi code for they were driving around and picking up the kids of the parents of the Jews and saying, we're going to take you to your parents, or really very horrible things, and they were taking them to their death. Oh. So the F is a German word for death, and 13 and 14, and really bad stuff.
So Nazi Shalong, the Bible, Kuhl, Ducher, Hans Jur, Batcher, print their passports. These Nazis I was sent to hunt down, Schutzstaffels, Albert Sucher to die next on 12/19/81, the Burlington Northern Railroad Station, where the Nazi works, Cicero, Illinois. To tell the truth, Nixon sent 1970s to Palm Beach, Mar-a-Lago for his NASA perform autopsy, Marjorie Alette photos. Sent to Graysmith, Earthrise stamp, Halloween card, got my Dan B. Cooper toy, the Eisenhower Eagle compartment for the microfilm, coin. I issue Reagan ultimatum, $5 million for the coin. His Holiness, kind, gentle, meek, Pope Carol Wolchla asked if you could request shitty President Reagan, get GS. So II is like
GSII, geospatial image interpretation. Anyways, keep going.
I suggest look over by South Lake Tahoe in the Tahoe National Forest up off 80 by 20, 5,311 feet to help Donna Lass, RN family, and Lauren Swearingham family, private investigator, get the Catholic victims' bodies for proper burial under a juniper tree. For your information, my wife at 30 even give me one male baby, 1978. No one. All right.
Yeah.
Elaborate on that?
Well, that's where they found most of the remains, was at that around 5,000 some feet. So it confirms the future that they found the skull, they found the mandible. Anyways, wow. So that's where I can elaborate on that. And I just think it's funny how he presents himself, because he's working for the Holy See. He's saying the kind, gentle, meek Pope is asking shitty President Reagan to find us. He's not working for Reagan. I'm laughing at that.
Right? Who is he working? Well, Carter, right? He's working
under
Carter.
He's working with Carter, but they're working for the Holy See.
The deep state.
Yeah. There's powers beyond the government.
Of course. 100%. 100%.
I've got my new book of the JFK assassination, and it's all about that, and how the JFK assassination and other things, 9/11, Iran-Contra, are all beyond the government. The government's involved, but it's beyond that.
Right. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I know that Lynn's Mac, which is a YouTuber we're going to be discussing here shortly when we get to the John Walsh stuff that has made connections between Zodiac and John Walsh, albeit I've already made that connection through the communications, but mentioned that Franklin Club was also, she had thought, even though it's listed here as a retirement community, that there was a possibility of some child pedophilia going on with that in some relation to Fox Island. So you did put down here at the bottom of this, the 4 hole punches on the paper look similar to the hole punch paper used for Dr. Dano Code. Letter, a clue to the Oakland County child killing issues. So if she's correct, and there is some affiliation between the Franklin Club and the Fox Club, then you guys both are kind of pointing in the same direction.
I wanted to say real quick, we discussed in a prior episode that the Bee last year published a story that confirmed that her skull was found in the exact spot this letter says it would be found.
Absolutely. January of 2024. Right. And I think that's, and Harriette has alluded to in her solves, that the rest of her remains would be found in Lower Lake.
Yeah.
Originally, but I have a feeling that they did find them, and then they were reburied in that Mount Ockham area that is full of these particular juniper trees. So,
Mount Ockham is where Jack bought property, exactly. And they found bones. They found human remains on his property there.
Wow, is that near Tahoe, or is that in the Sierras?
It's up past Placerville, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Up in the Placerville area. So yeah, still very close to the whole South Lake Tahoe type thing. Oh, come on.
In my invariable opinion, he's trying to do what he's supposed to do, redeem himself for the past deeds. And they apparently were not supposed to kill those 2 Catholics. And there's a lot of information yield from Donna Lass about, Sam Giancana. So he's trying to pay his debt back to society this way. And, Dennis, really quickly, Dennis said that Jack told him that for him, it's like he's in prison for life. So look what he's doing. He's trying to, for the rest of his life, pay his debt back to society.
Huh. By killing people?
By killing people for, let's just say, as horrible as it sounds, for all the right reasons, but
Right.
It's terrible. But then also pay his debt back for that too, because the main rules for Catholics is thou shalt not kill. So
Right.
but I'm seeing that they did kill Ducher. Ducher had to go.
Once you're programmed to kill, it's hard to stop.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
was that?
I would say. Say that again, Nolan.
Once you're programmed to kill, it's hard to stop.
I think so. I think Jack had the cure, but he's going through all these motions, well into the early 2000s, and he's, feeling bad. So I see the guilt there, but
Yeah, it's rampant throughout his correspondence.
Okay, so we're back and we have another solve, Harriette. This is the I Am Crack Proof the Car movie one. It's a stenographic code you listed from 1978. So do you want me to read that?
You're going to have to read it because I'm trying to look at the 4 or 5 calls put together. But
not a problem.
Yeah.
All right. So it says
to the sections.
Right. To the sloppy ace detective Toshi, the Irishman is to bludgeon the shitty screen actor chef Gus Starr, Bug District of Columbia Commander-in-Chief Carter, to paint Scottsdale, Arizona wall sideways with Bob Crane head blood. And you stated, I believe this goes with the In Control, etc., and the Ghost Killer sections. So this is stating that the Irishman is responsible for killing Bob Crane?
Because Jack is under the influence of the medical lead because of his temporary blindness or near blindness. So they get the Irishman. And if I understand correctly, if you read the crime scene reports, the blood was sideways on the wall.
Okay.
Like it was painted. Yeah.
Well, and the Irishman called himself a painter, right?
Yeah.
He painted houses for a living, he said.
Yeah, he painted them red. As disgusting as it is.
And how was Bob Crane killed? I don't know that I had a lot of information on him, but
in some condo or house in Arizona.
Oh.
Or it Palm Springs or Arizona? Yeah, Scottsdale. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what her solve is
he
showing.
Was definitely murdered. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he was into some twisted stuff too. There's all weird sexual stuff and all kinds of wild, twisted shit.
God, too much time on their hands, too much money. They get bored. All right, so in the
actor too. Hogan's Heroes was awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
So we have
into perspective. I just wanted to be brief. You put it into perspective what's going on at this time. Hogan's Heroes doing what allegedly done with the ATKID. It's going to blow an operation that's actually global to get the Nazis that had ended up here in the United States, but also to get them justice in Europe. And Bob Crane's old co-stars are either directly Holocaust survivors, like Robert Clary would wake up next to the dead in some shower stall, and then the others were family members of Holocaust survivors. So it's very in perspective, a very big deal, and sadly it cost Bob Crane his life.
So you go from being a Holocaust victim's family member to making it big in the movies. There's just something weird about that.
It is, especially you're playing a prisoner of war. You're in a camp. That's
right.
That's the whole storyline.
Yeah.
And Werner Klemperer was actually German, Colonel Klink, in charge of the prison camp.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I believe it was Werner Klemperer who said, "I will do this show as long as you make it so the Nazis never win," because you know he was, he was connected to Holocaust survivors too.
Okay.
So that's why,
I know nothing.
I know nothing.
I know nothing. I know nothing.
Now, you have another solve here, Harriette, which is the FBI FOIA file dated March 18th, 1981 in regards to ATKID. And it says, page 2, DEWF 0033, unclass. Murders of the children in caption case. The anonymous writer further directed that the editor place a want ad in the Washington Post stating, "Daniel, please come home," after which the writer would initiate further contact with the editor of the Washington Post. At approximately 2:30 p.m. on same date, March 18th, 1981, the Washington field office contacted somebody, it's redacted, advised that he and his newspaper would cooperate fully and place the ad, "Daniel, please call home," in the 3/1981 edition of the Washington Post newspaper. It was mutually agreed between that whomever and the FBI that the phone number, and of course that is where it cuts off. I do note, again, we have a suspect asking for information to be placed in the newspaper in order to get messages back and forth to each other, which is very similar to the Oakland County child murder cases where Dr. Danto was to place "the trees will bloom in 3 weeks" as a sign that the accomplice of that letter was being heard and that they were doing what it took to get him immunity so that he could turn himself in and turn over this purported suspect. So that runs in tandem, obviously, with what we've already seen. And this solve, you want me to read this one?
Yeah, I was working on it, and it's at theydon'tLikeUs.com. I wondered, why did they put it up there like this? I ended up seeing it as just a giant stamp, and I had to identify the editor's name, which was a woman, not a guy. Anyways, go for it, because it's actually just a repeat. We're seeing, again, Jack sending things in tandem. If one doesn't go through, this one will. And
we noticed that.
It's a repeat.
We noticed that with the Zodiac sending 2 and 3 communications at a time in order to make sure that somebody gets it into the paper or gets that message. So this says 3/18/81, 7:30 Mountain Time, facsimile SS, Woodland Drive, Plains, Georgia. Hi, Mr. James Earl Carter Jr. FYI, IOU Pope John Paul II welcomes me and teaches me when I hit Seafield office in Twin Towers, New York in 10/9/78 via the AB. What's AB?
Oh, that's the Archbishop. That's Jared Cook.
The Archbishop, I got my wish, the Washington O stamp that goes with the UCD, so UC Davis, Alcoholics Anonymous, CIA LSD, 10 or 100 wine.
LSD
Finally.
100. It's
okay.
That, anyways, keep going. Sorry.
No. I want to make sense of it. So LSD 100 wine. Finally, ha 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 ha, getting AA better. To tell the truth, talk to TT Danto, tell assisted living manager Christopher, 27, 5150, Kathy, 19, when 2 are to die on 11/20. To tell the truth between the C and what is TT Tattletale?
To tell the truth, and then Tattletale, that was Danto. Danto was telling what was going to happen, but there was a change of plans. You have 3 popes that year, so by October 9th, it looks like the 3rd pope said, "No, we're not going to kill these people. We are trying to get the original Holocaust and the Nazi people."
Okay. So then to tell the truth.
Tattletale.
Okay, so to tell the truth, between the C, Tattletale Danto, Nomen Nescio Me, New Nixon, FBI classified, downed USN, Dan Cooper, placed in WPP. What is WPP?
Witness Protection Program. They staffed the body.
Okay. Last name Broad in Trenton State Hospital. So they placed the body of Dan Cooper into that hospital, you're saying, under a name Kathy Broad?
Just last name Broad. I don't think it's Kathy Broad. It's just they were just
last name Broad.
Probably Danielle Broad.
Gotcha.
Anyways.
In Trenton State Hospital, the 301 Bush Drive doctor, Tattletale, we mutually agreed, found body on ice, post-mortem, teeth, verify is him, not Naperville, is that Illinois? Naperville, Illinois?
Yep.
White female.
Naperville,
adult.
I think it's Naperville. Anyways, keep going.
WFA, which is white female adult, correct?
Yeah, WFA, white female adult. They were saying they confirmed with the postmortem that it's a guy.
88
might have a penis, but anyways.
But right, we would think, but 88 chef trade ID. We 3 place in home his bed. I shot in the head under the sheet. Harold Lee Bush and Detroit Free Press publisher place a Bell Chapel death notice in newspaper, i.e. King Mary. BF. What is BF?
The best friend or boyfriend, BF.
Oh, gotcha. And then to tell the truth, the World War II Nazi Führer, murderer, arch enemy, train operator Albert Ducher to die Saturday, 12/1981 on BNRRTT. What's that?
Burlington Northern Railroad train tracks, where he worked in Cicero, Illinois.
Gotcha. HH, who's that?
Hubert Humphrey? I don't know.
Ask if Hitler.
Heil Hitler. Ask if would call Ronald Reagan, want GS2, use find the dead Catholics, Donna Lass, Tattletale swearing them, approximately Donner Pass, contact Heil Hitler at the C classified phone number, and then it says no one is the sign off.
Oh, I'm sorry. His Holiness. Oh, HH is His Holiness at that point.
Oh, okay. Let's try that again then.
Sorry, Pope.
Yeah, His Holiness asked if we'd call Ronald Reagan, want GS2, use find the dead Catholics, Donna Lass, Tattletale swearing him, approximately Donner Pass, contact His Holiness at the C classified phone number.
He uses the phrase to tell the truth quite often. I wonder if that's kind of some sort of clue.
It's easy. That's how come when I did the other one, that's way back, it turns out from the early 40s, I saw the classic 4Ts. I said that confirms everything in the future.
Right.
And yeah.
There's also a reference to the Twin Towers, which is
exactly, the Twin Towers.
Yeah, like
I did see that. So when I hit Seafield office in Twin Towers, New York in 10/9/78. So he's planning on doing what at the Twin Towers in 78?
Oh, he's getting his cure. The other half. You know, the half of the stuff at UC Davis, that's the other half. So you apparently be up at 3,600 feet on Mount Diablo looking at the sun while you're tripping on their LSD. Then at night, as it's coming on, that other stuff, the peyote and everything is used, and it's to close it out. It's to close out the particular part of the brain, to close it out and repeat that phrase, the alcoholic's phrase. I can't.
The Serenity Prayer
over and over and over again. Yeah, that's it. The one he
kept
crazy all the time. The Serenity Prayer.
Wow.
And Jack kept the Serenity Prayer in his wallet.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, I gotta go. Have a good
All
show.
right. Have a good, hey, good luck at court. Go get them.
Oh, I've already won. I just have to be there.
Yeah. All right. Have a good morning. Okay. So that brings me on to, I found a FOIA file, which I really don't fully completely understand it, but it looked like it was written during the time of the Atlanta, Georgia stuff. And I can't find page 1. I'm going to have to search and find it because it has things in it like it says Q5. So this is obviously from the FBI examinations of the actual documents and the ciphers. But things aren't really adding up for me. So like it says page 3 beginning, eat peppermint and. Now we know that there is the little list and he talks about peppermint and pompet, right? The Zodiac.
Exactly.
However, when I look at this page 3 beginning, eat peppermint and pompet, page 3 does not begin that way of our little list letter. So it must mean that there is a second version of the peppermint and pompet out there that is related to the Atlanta, Georgia stuff, but I cannot find, I've not seen this particular communication. And then page 5 beginning, so Q6 says beginning you the other. And I look, there's only one 6-page document from the Zodiac, and that's the bus bomb letter. And when I looked at page 5, it does not begin you the other. So there has to be some more communications out there that are involved with the ATKID cases that we've not seen yet. But this is some of the information that they talk about on here. So result of the examination, the original Zodiac case involves numerous letters and cryptograms related to murders in the Sacramento, San Francisco area in the late 60s and early 70s. And early 70s. So, I mean, they're even talking about murders and letters that have continued. The Zodiac case has not been solved to date. The Q1 through Q6 material resembles the type of letters and cryptograms involved in the Zodiac case. No indented writing was observed on Q1 through Q6. No watermarks were observed on Q1. Now, again, I'm missing this first intel or the first page of this intel, which is listing the Q1 through Q4 documents. So I don't even know what documents they're talking about at this point. It says the brand Conqueror appears on Q3. This appears to be a brand of the Sloan Paper Company from Doraville, Georgia. Q2 and Q4 through Q6 bear watermarks of Schaefer Eaton, Pittsfield, Massachusetts. So I want to remind everybody that the Zodiac wrote on Eaton bond paper, which now we have a crossover between Atlanta, Georgia, the use of the same type of paper. What'd you want to say, Harriette?
On paper, but I'm seeing a lot of these, even though they look official, look real, just like the one we just read, you just treat it like a giant stamp and identify everything in it, and it's a message for Carter. He's working, right. And they're seriously going after these Nazis. It's all global.
Okay, but I'm on a different tangent right now. Right now, I'm just on these particular communications we've obviously not seen. So. And the brand of paper is a match to what the Zodiac was using. So we know that Dennis turned over to the Sacramento Sheriff's Department Eaton bond paper, and I'm sure that if these papers were studied and examined in contrast or comparison to the Zodiac letters that were also written on Eaton bond paper, they could determine whether or not they were from the same batch of paper. Now, it goes on to say specimens Q2 and Q6 contain substitution system with variants. In such a crypto system, each letter of the alphabet is replaced by one or more symbols to make the message unreadable. The letters which occur more frequently in the English language have more than one ciphertext equivalent. So now they're saying that there's actually ciphers and codes involved in these letters as well, Harriette.
Yeah, exactly. That you just look beyond it, you'll see the cipher, you'll see the cryptic message. Wow.
Well, and have you seen
we'd
any
like to see them.
ciphers?
I want to see them.
I know, me too. I'm thinking like, wait a minute, what's going on here? There's definitely, so they're definitely referring to so the Q1 through Q6 documents are definitely not Zodiac letters. They're being asked to compare them to Zodiac letters. They're recognizing that this was back in the 70s and 60s and 70s. So it fits that these are coming out in 1981 or whenever it is that these particular communications were sent out in regards to the Atlanta, Georgia child killer. But it tells us that it's running in tandem with the communications, which we saw on the Hello, It's Me letter from the ATKID suspect that states, I used to be in San Francisco. I used to stalk women. So all of these things are running, hand in hand and linking one to the next. All right. So the next page
no
of this.
longer Zodiac at the time. He's just signing off as no one. So
right.
Maybe that's what we got, is a whole bunch of them signing off as no one. Good luck finding out who that is.
You're going to like where this goes, because when I saw this, I was like, oh dear, this is something you've been onto and you're talking about in your solves. So I'm shocked to see this in a FOIA file. So it goes on to say, after they lay out the plain text for the substitution of the symbols, it says the cryptographic equivalents used in specimens Q2 and Q6 are the same as those used in the original Zodiac cipher. Both the original ciphertext and its decryption have been published. However, the following differences should be noted between the cryptograms in the submitted specimens and the cryptograms authored by Zodiac. The longer Zodiac ciphers were inscribed into a rectangle. The end of the first solved cryptogram, when deciphered, was unintelligible. The author apparently used the cipher symbols to complete the rectangle. Since the second cipher remains unsolved, it is not known whether any nulls are used to complete the rectangle. The cryptogram in specimen Q2 does not follow the same pattern of inscribing the message into a complete rectangle, i.e., the last line of the cryptogram contains only 3 symbols. The Zodiac cryptograms contain 17 symbols per row. The cryptogram in specimens Q2 and Q6 contain 13 symbols per row. The decryptions of specimens Q2 and Q6 follow. Garbled portions of the plain text have been corrected. These corrections are underlined. So in specimen Q2, it states, must die for her 50 megahertz screech and her flirtatiousness. She is so impossibly shallow and stuck up. Haven't you said those words?
One.
What's that?
I've done that one. I've done that
which one?
Yeah, I've done that one, but yeah, the 50 megahertz. Anyways,
I heard you say this
for sure.
I heard you talk about the megahertz screech, and this is Janis Joplin. You were saying?
I think that has something to do with the radio waves, but I think that's reminding me of actually things that go all the way to Stamford, Connecticut area. But I've done that one. That was also found at some of the unfriendly places. But they said, "Wow, what's that?" Anyway.
Well, and we haven't seen these communications or these ciphers, so I don't know that you've I know that you've come up with this in one of your solves, but we've not seen any ciphers involved in the ATKID case.
That's has something to do with what happened in Stamford. But anyways, the Bush family. Okay, that I remember.
I just remember you saying 50 megahertz in one of your solves, and I was like, holy crap, they've got that coming out in one of the solves in the FOIA stuff. All right. Well, specimen
radio waves coming off to when he's tripping on that particular LSD. There's a radio wave that's coming across.
Well, no, they've got a name that's redacted, and the name that's redacted is followed by must die for her 50 megahertz screech and her flirtatiousness. She is so impossibly shallow and stuck up. So he's talking about somebody he's going to kill. That has to die, a female.
Yeah, I'll have to find it, but
right.
Anyways, keep going.
So many.
This is amazing.
So specimen
I'm thinking
Q6
of the radio wave on Mount Diablo.
Right. Well, specimen Q6 has again a redaction. of someone's name. If you wish to know my identity, you will have to put some effort into it, not fiddle and fart around. Here's a clue as Mrs. Somebody, because it's redacted again. If she remembers who draws the symbol, then you will have me. Good luck. That's not a solve that we've heard, but that is clearly a solve that has come out of one of these communications, which again, I mean, just takes us right back to there's something to be solved in each one of these. But fiddle and fart around is definitely a statement that the Zodiac used. So some of the things that I picked out of this Q6 cipher text is as it was ciphered along with the ciphered message. So Q2 was must die, and that's a Sherry Joe Bates reference, like had to die. The 50 megahertz screech. I noted that I needed to research this identity because it's redacted, but I'm not sure I'm going to ever figure out who that is. Shallow and stuck up. It's kind of like the Channel 9 newsletter, making personal shots at people. It says, if you wish to know my identity, that's definitely Zodiac Jack all day long. Effort, you must put in some effort, which is again bashing law enforcement for not being able to figure out who he is. Fiddle and fart around was a Zodiac verbatim. Here is a clue. That's again Zodiac Jack 101. He remembers who draws the symbol. So somebody, he's stating some female out there has seen him draw the symbol, and if she could remember who it was, then they would have him. So then you will have me as again Zodiac, and good luck, wishing you well. I needed to see, I still have it in here, need to research communications and dates, but it says March 17th, 1981, FBI receives the letters and states that the Zodiac killer could not be eliminated as the author of these letters. So I thought that was pretty impressive considering just the hello, it's me handwritten letter. And we started to see some commonalities in the handwriting of the ghostwriter are consistent with that. So I also skipped across a February 10th, 1982 letter, it looks like, from the United States Senate to William H. Webster, Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, 9th in Pennsylvania. Dear Bill. So this letter's being written to him in regards to the ATKID case. And I found some of the questions that he was going to have to answer extremely interesting. So it says, thank you for your testimony at the recent meeting of the Security and Terrorism Subcommittee. I have enclosed a series of questions relating to the Atlanta youth murder case, which we discussed during the hearing. I hope that you will be able to respond to those questions which do not violate the judge's gag order in the Wayne Williams case as soon as possible. So let's note there's a gag order in regards to Wayne Williams case. Why? I mean, this man is purportedly, at least that's what they're trying to hem him up on, something like 26 murders. Let's see, in the Wayne Williams case, as soon as possible. If any of these questions do violate the judge's gag order, I would appreciate a response as soon as that gag order is lifted. I have also included a couple of specific questions concerning the report you sent me relating to the allegations of FBI misconduct on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. I would appreciate your prompt reply to these questions. Again, thank you for your testimony, and I'm looking forward to reviewing your responses to these questions. So the questions in the Atlanta youth murder, number one, I believe you told Congress that the Bureau had a tenuous jurisdiction under the federal kidnapping statutes, and the Justice Department concluded there was no basis for a civil rights investigation. On what basis did the federal government have the authority to investigate the Atlanta slayings? Well, there's children involved, right? I mean, isn't it kind of obligatory at this point that the Federal Bureau of Investigation gets involved when you have this many children that are popping up dead? These would have been great questions for Nolan, but I thought that children, kidnapping, any of that kind of stuff automatically fell underneath Federal Bureau of Investigations. Is that not correct? Do you know?
I think so, but this is the time frame where the Adam Walsh case had just hit big time, and they're going to make the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children a sad mess, because that's exactly what it became, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. You know,
gotcha.
A lot of money off of that. But yeah, where there's kids involved like that, and it's kidnapping. Anyways, that's where the feds get involved.
Well, let's go on with these questions. And number 2, why was the FBI unable to enter the investigation initially due to lack of jurisdiction, but, and then there seems to be a redaction, able to enter later with no apparent change in the facts regarding jurisdiction? So there specifically, the Senate's asking why the FBI was not able to enter the investigation initially, but then was able to, even though the facts hadn't changed the case. Number 3, did the FBI enter the case, as some have suggested, simply because the Atlanta slaying had become an issue national in scope and effect, a national crime disaster area, irrespective of a sound jurisdictional basis? So it's almost like they're back and forth asking why they didn't and how they were capable. Number 4, when U.S. Attorney General Benjamin Civiletti ordered the FBI as well as the Justice Department to offer their full cooperation to the Atlanta police, did he in effect order the FBI to exceed its traditional jurisdiction? Number 5, why was the federal response in Atlanta, particularly that of the FBI, so slow in coming? So it's like I'm torn between whether or not they have jurisdiction, when it sounds like he's saying, why did you guys not get in the beginning? Why was it so slow in coming? And at the same time, how were you capable of coming in when you guys didn't have jurisdiction? It's like they're back and forth. Number 6, the technical assistance of the 2 investigators, specifically the services of special agent who is an expert in the development of behavioral profiles and an FBI agent who is a specialist in the development of visual investigation aid systems, was offered to the city on November 6th of 1980. At some point in very late 1980 or early 1981, a decision was made to send in more assistance. By February 11th of 1981, some 26 FBI agents had been assigned to work with Atlanta's 35-member special task force. Who made that decision, at what time, and when did additional help actually arrive in Atlanta? Question number 7. At some point, the FBI assistants in Atlanta developed into an independent investigation running on parallel and sometimes counter tracks to the local efforts. At what point did the assistants burgeon into a full investigation? Can you provide some idea, the number of agents and dates on which they became active in the investigation, and of how the investigation force grew? Number 8, once the FBI became committed to the situation in Atlanta, their investigation proceeded on a separate track from that of the Special Task Force, which was made up of local law enforcement officials. Who made the initial decision that the FBI not be a part of the Special Task Force? So it's like they're infighting, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I can sense somehow we have, people above the U.S. government asking these questions and taunting, and asking valid questions and saying, here's where you have some weakness, you need to perfect this. And of course, we don't know who this person is who's asking these questions.
Well, this is somebody from the Senate. This is from the United States Senate Committee on the Judiciary. So I'm trying to see if I can tell who it came from. Oh, Patrick Leahy. Now, isn't Leahy one of the recipients of the anthrax letters? Holy crap.
Yes.
Right.
Okay,
so Patrick Leahy eventually,
he
receives an anthrax letter in the future. Oh, all right, guys. I'm telling you, these circles
saying,
just...
Hey, you shouldn't have meddled,
Maybe.
Sorry. But
maybe. Interesting. All right, number 9. Is it possible that the very structure of the investigation, simultaneous inquiries by 2 independent investigating groups, fostered much of the difficulty encountered in the investigation? Wouldn't such an arrangement hinder communications, increase the risk of duplicated effort, reduce the chance of apparently unrelated information coming together in the process of an integrated investigation, and in other ways fetter the often slow and piecemeal development of a successful investigation? Absolutely. Number 10, who was the two-track investigation in fact preferable in the beginning, or did other factors determine the structure of the investigation? Was the FBI unwilling to be integrated into the special task force, or was there an inability or unwillingness to integrate the FBI into the special task force? Number 11, you were criticized for your announcement that 4 of the child murders were substantially solved at a time when Atlanta police said that they were not aware that any case was near resolution. Could this have been avoided by having had the FBI integrated into the task force? Similar criticism occurred following a statement by an FBI agent not assigned to the case at a Macon, Georgia Civic Club meeting that 4 of the children had been killed by their parents because they were considered nuisances. Number 12, regardless of their effect on the actual investigation, don't such statements undermine the public confidence that law enforcement officials are dealing adequately with these highly publicized cases? Number 13, do you believe there is any validity to the criticisms raised against the FBI concerning the conduct of the investigation from May 22nd to June 21st of 1981? Number 14, is there any internal investigation underway of possible FBI misconduct? If so, if such an internal review is complete, were any problems discovered? Number 15, was the investigation of Mr. Williams, especially the occurrences immediately following the incident at the bridge, less than a first-rate job in your estimation? Number 16, do you think it was appropriate for the FBI to press for an arrest in the case before local prosecutors felt that they were ready? Number 17, finally, a high-level official on the Special Task Force was quoted in the New York Times last July saying the FBI wanted to solve the case themselves. They wanted all the credit, but instead they have made it more difficult to resolve the guilt or innocence of the suspect. What can we do, and what can you do to minimize the rivalries which can disrupt investigations if the federal government is going to get involved more heavily in crimes which in the past have been left to the state and local authorities? Number 18, you recently responded to an inquiry I made last summer concerning certain allegations surrounding FBI agency misconduct on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. While your response was very forthcoming concerning the details of the allegations, the overall response seems to draw no conclusion from the pattern of activities which were occurring with respect to Indian matters during the mid-1970s. While it is plausible to believe that Special Agent in Charge Trimbach did forget about the wiretap application and didn't know that Mr. Hurd was agreed to a polygraph of Mr. Move's camp. And perhaps Mr. Hurd did forget to turn over the 2 defense lawyers' Jenks material provided to him by the FBI. I was still left with the feeling that these things were out of control during those days. Was the FBI exerting sufficient management control over its agents on the Pine Ridge Reservation during those events? Now, I have no idea why anything on an Indian reservation is coming up in regards to these cases.
Yeah,
I don't.
Do
you have any?
Yeah, why are they doing that?
Yeah, why is this up in the middle of whatever's going on here? And then finally, number 19 says, in response to another issue, you stated in your report to me with respect to the investigations of the deaths of Special Agents Kohler and Williams, the department had received various allegations, but had not received any specific information or allegations which had indicated that the FBI conducted any unlawful searches or conducted the investigation as a reprisal or vendetta. Your August 1979 letter to Civil Rights Commission Chairman Fleming also, we're getting a lot of noise. Chairman Fleming also refers to various general charges of agency misconduct at the Pine Ridge Reservation, but to no specific allegations. In light of those statements, I wish again to ask you a question posed in my letter, but not directly answered by your response. Have you, since becoming director of the FBI, taken any steps to ensure that the constitutional rights and liberties of persons living on Indian reservations are protected? So there's another very interesting question, which begs, we also have 2 agents that died. Were these agents onto something? Did they figure something out and they end up being a casualty to not having this stuff solved? I mean, where did this come up that these 2 agents end up dying? And again, how does the Indian reservation play into what's going on?
I can take a wild guess that because it's true that I have some distant relatives that are of people of color, that they're also Cherokee and so on.
Well, we're going to have to pick this
that,
up. We're just over the
Yeah, let's
50-minute
do
mark at this point. So I'm going to have to sign off, tell everybody to have a great weekend. Thank you, Harriette, for your solves and for being here once again. I know that this is all a bit much for you with what you have going on, but I, again, wish everybody a wonderful week, and we'll see you the following Friday.
Oh,